Hi, Corteon.
Hey,
Hi, it's nice to virtually meet you.
nice to
Uh,
virtually meet you.
thanks. Well, I wanted to start out. Ellis has kind of gone through a lot of changes from the first season to the second season, especially when it comes to his relationship with his dad.
So much.
Yeah, and it seems like he's starting to forgive his dad, even though he's kept this secret about Sarah. Do you think he's fully to that point yet, or is there still some kind of anger there?
You know, I think it's gonna be a work in progress. It something that has affected him for so long. It's
Mhm.
been roughly just over 2.5 years since I've been there, and his mom died pretty early on. Um, and that was, the catalyst to their falling out. But I think the big change is that Alice is willing to allow his father in. And I think over time it's just gonna things will fall into place. I mean, people saw in episode 3, it's like one of the first times Ellis has really looked at his dad and said, I'm glad you're back. He's telling him, I'm
Mhm.
happy you're here. That's a really big moment for him. So I think little things like that will slowly start to build, to a beautiful relationship over time.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see that and to see that healing process start because you can
Yeah.
totally understand why Ellis feels that way. You can
Yeah.
completely see it, but you're also hoping for that healing for both of you.
I
Both
yeah,
of
I mean they deserve it. They've gone through enough. Why continue to push your family away? Like it just
you. Mhm.
doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. And the other big thing happening right now is you've proposed to Fatima.
Mhm.
You want to start this life. And I mean, we see at the end of like season 5, she's upset about Sarah and that secret. Do you think part of the reason Ellis proposed was to kind of give some kind of hope to her as well as yourself?
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about all the characters in this show is that everybody is trying to make it in their own way. You look at someone like Sarah, and she's not just maliciously doing these things. She's trying to save everybody. Or you look at someone like Boyd, he's venturing off, making the hard decisions, not because he wants to, but because that's how he feels like he can survive and allow everyone else. And I think with Ellis, it's no different. He's looking at the love of his life and is like, why are we going to continue to just allow this place to destroy us? Like, no, I want to take a stand and I'm not going to go fight. I'm not going to go search for answers to questions that I don't even know exist. I'm just going to look at you and I'm going to say, I want to be with you for the rest of my life, no matter how long that may be. And I think that isn't that's his way of being like, I want you to be okay. Like, I want you to know that I'm here for you no matter what. And I think it's really beautiful. And I really love getting to read and relive and play those moments between these two people.
It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship and the chemistry and everything. It's just really beautiful to watch.
Oh,
And I'm
great.
one and I'm wondering, do you think, I mean, it must be so hard for Ellis because on one hand, he lost his mother because of this place, but he found the love of his life.
Yeah.
So do you think there's some kind of gratefulness there too, or
I think so because they met. The timeline kind of goes that they met roughly a year after my mother passed, and I think that's like the only thing that could have possibly taken him away from this deep, 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 deep depression. And it's like it's got to be one of the most complex relationships I've ever seen because it's like that double-edged sword. It's like you meet the love of your life, but you're stuck in this place for the rest of your life. Like what is the value of your life? But I think that's the question they ask. Like, what's the value of my life if not for this other person that I love? And the thing that they get, and the thing that I do think they understand is that they're lucky because no one else has found that since they've gotten here. No
it's
one else
true?
has had the fortune to have someone who truly sees them, irregardless of the things around them. They just say, "I love you. You love me. We'll figure this out." And so he's
Yeah.
grateful. He's so grateful. I think it's a blessing and within a curse.
Yeah, a blessing within a curse. Yeah, yeah, and it's true. You are the only ones who have found that, which is pretty remarkable.
It's
So
insane. It's so
yeah,
romantic as well.
it is. It is. Yeah. And then lastly, I just want to know what have you learned about yourself as an artist through playing Ellis?
I think like there's been so many things. I mean, it's affected me as an actor, professionally. It's affected me as an actor, in terms of stamina. But something that I think I really hold dearly from playing this character has been the attentiveness and like the choice to be attentive to how I'm feeling every day. Because that, I think, at its core is the real journey that Ellis went on. He was so hurt, he was so confused, he was so lost, and people were trying to help, and he just wasn't allowing them. He wasn't allowing anybody to cross this barrier, to cross this wall. And it was just through time and healing and really difficult conversations that he was able to learn, and in the process show me that, like, you just got to let it all out. You got to let it all out. You got to face the truth. You've got to say you're sorry. You've got to say, I forgive you, in order for you to grow. And like, I really do think I've been able to take that in my personal life and try to just see things for how they are and not see them for how I wish they were,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
it's really a gift.
yeah, thank you so much for speaking with me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Chloe.
Hey, Erin, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Great. Well, I first wanted to start out, Kristi at the beginning of season 2, her fiance returns. Something that I'm sure Kristi thought would never, ever really realistically be happening.
Yes.
Yeah. And the moment when you reunite is so beautiful and touching to watch. Do you think in some way that Kristi is almost grateful that bus found its way there?
I think in that moment, it's everything everywhere all at once. I think it's relief, it's terror, it's guilt. Did I summon you here? It's anger, it's deep love, it's frozen, it's everything. It's there's no one word to describe what that is. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, and you can see that in
Yeah.
Kristi's face for sure, and in both your faces,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, especially because like I guess an hour ago she was talking with Kenny, not really knowing what to do, and again never made a decision, but like there was some vulnerability there of like I don't actually know what to do, and then there she is. So it's a lot to unpack, and Kristi certainly has not had the time this season to really sit with it.
No, she's going, and
Yeah.
is really like the caretaker in the whole group there.
Mhm.
And do you think that part of Kristi, that caretaking part, do you think you kind of see it kind of collapse with Kelly that had the rod in the head and died? And do you think that's weighing on Kristi at all? Do you think she wishes someone would take care of her for a moment?
I think she hasn't even had time to think about that. This season is so relentless that she's just in total survival mode. I'm curious to see what happens if we get a season 3, if we really start to see the effects of her being of that level of burnout. But right now it's just like total survival mode, one thing after the other. And she'll figure it out later how she's feeling. I mean, I think everybody in that town wants to feel like they're being cared for in some way, but she knows that she's got some serious jobs to do right now and a lot to navigate, especially with Marielle. So she'll put her own stuff aside. She can only put her stuff away for so long before it starts to come up. And I think in episode 7, we really see her kind of at her breaking point in a way, which needed to happen.
Yeah, because there's only so much trauma a person can take before they do break, no matter how strong they are.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And we really start to see it weigh on her kind of episode 7 forward, the effects of that type of buildup on all those feelings associated with it.
Yeah, because I know in episode 6 also certain things come forward as well that really add to that personally.
Yeah.
Especially with Marielle returning and everything too. And I'm wondering with Kenny, even though now you're focused on Marielle's return and everything, is there a part of Kristi that really is hoping, that she can cling on to something with Kenny, because that was such an important relationship for both of them?
Yeah, I think she really needs a friend right now, big time, and I think that they have each other's backs in that way. This season's so interesting because there has so much going on with both of those characters independently of each other that there's been no conversation of unpacking anything. It's so reactive and so just one thing after the other, that they both could really use a friend right now. But it's one of those situations where they're both pretty cut up in their own world right now that it's hard to do that. But in episode 10, there's some moments where we really start to see that they're there for one another during some of the most darkest times. But yeah, I think she's definitely in need of a friend, big time.
Yes.
She doesn't want
agree.
to. She doesn't want to lose that in Kenny either. Regardless, they have a connection, of course, and I think there's love there, deep love. But love takes all different shapes and sizes. It doesn't always have to lead to anything romantic. And I think Kristi's preoccupation with Marielle navigating that, leaves things with Kenny a little bit in the air and on the side for now.
Yeah, but they definitely need that friendship, and hopefully that does happen. Yeah, everybody needs that. So
of course.
yeah, definitely. And then lastly, really quickly, is there anything about Kristi that you sort of have wanted to take in for yourself, if that makes sense, as an artist or as an actor?
Yeah, she's got an incredible amount of patience. It's amazing. And just gentle. Like there's a tranquility to her that is very calming, that I appreciate and I've learned from her playing her, that I'd like to integrate into my own life. Yeah, she's got a selflessness to her in a way that I could learn a thing or two from.
That we all could.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chloe. It was such an honor to speak with you, and congratulations on season 2 and the whole show. You're fantastic in it. So
Thank you, Erin. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Erin.
Hi. Nice to virtually meet you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. I wanted to first know, because I'm assuming that it must be a lot of fun to be able to play a bad guy who basically does whatever.
It really is. It really is. It's been a wonderful experience. Not just the character, but being on the set of such a great show and meeting such wonderful people as well.
Yeah, and to be able to, not have to be the good person and do just lots of villainous, wonderful things.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Yeah. I'm wondering, did you give your character like a backstory, and is there a place you go when you're prepping for those scenes?
No, I never gave my character a backstory. Whenever it's time to transition into Smiley, I just put on the smile and be as creepy as I can.
Awesome. And then is there what's it like with makeup or effects or anything like that? Is that the whole process there? Does that help you get into character too?
It does help all the more. Or it does help the hair and makeup. It makes me look that much creepier, which works, and everything else too. It just, I think, emphasizes on the creepiness, which helps you get into, say, the tone, and helps sets the tone better and creates a more scary environment.
Yeah.
So I would say that definitely adds to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, since I will be dropping this after episode 6 airs, something big happens to your character in episode 6. So it's almost like, we see fear for the first time in your character. What was that like to play that scene with Boyd?
It was very exciting. It was.
Yeah.
It was just the entire day on set for that episode was amazing to do. Yes, it was. And yes, so Smiley does get a little bit freaked out when Boyd's actually fighting back. But, we're not really sure how it's going to turn out. That's even assuming that Boyd actually was successful, because you're not sure what's happening yet.
And you know what? Like the show and like this industry, anything can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what is very curious is what the next steps are and
Sure.
how the other creatures react to that too.
Right. As Smiley, I would think he'd be a little disappointed they didn't take maybe a little bit longer of a moment to see what happened, but maybe they just didn't want to let on. Maybe, I'm not sure. This is pure guessing. Maybe they just didn't want to let on. It's like, are they afraid now? Do they want to just walk away like nothing's happened? Or are they just going away to plot what's going to happen next? We're not really sure. And I think that's maybe one of the great mysteries that we might see in the future. I'm not sure.
And I'm curious, since there are other creatures, do you, as actors, do you ever collaborate and kind of say where you're coming from with things, or or even if you have time for, I don't know if you have time for rehearsals or anything like that?
Well, I wouldn't say there's too much collaboration on that. I'd say with different actors, there's basically just interactions, like just everyday conversation. Here and there, we might give each other like a few pointers or maybe some tips on how to run the takes a little bit better. And of course, I don't mind direction whatsoever. So be it from cast or directors, writers, producers, I love going with the flow, taking that direction, because you never know what way it's going to take. Because, okay, we tried, say, way number one. Now let's try this way. Now let's try the second way, or maybe the third way. So just try it in different ways. And I always find with different takes, I always get a little bit, with some takes, I find especially exciting to do, because even afterwards, I get a bit of an exciting chill going. It's like, ooh, that felt good. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And do you have a favorite moment from Smiley?
Some of my favorite scenes have been the banister scene and the bus scene. Definitely, for sure. The banister scene, when I first did that, I had no idea it was going to get the reaction it did. And from You Picked a Bad Spot, I loved doing that scene as well. Now, again, I had no clue like those things were going to be like a bunch of memes or freak out as much as people did. I actually had a friend who I haven't heard from in a long time. It's like, Jamie, it's like, is this you? I just saw a TikTok video of like this bus thing. Is this you? It's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's me. And so I told him, you know what? I highly recommend the show. And now I wouldn't be surprised if he starts binge watching that now, and he even tries to get his parents to do it too. But either way, I'm just like, no worries, man. Thanks very much. It's great hearing from you, right? How you doing?
I love that drew a voice coming out and what that. Yeah, because that the bus one is just, oh my gosh, it's so freaky and you're so good in it. And it's just like, you don't know what's
And
gonna,
even how
especially
calm the line was too, like how quick the transition is. Like, you picked a bad spot, and then freaks it, and then it's just like attack. So
yeah.
it's so casual. Wait, and then wait.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's friendly and then attack. That's what's so creepy about the creatures. So
Yeah, it makes it all that more suspenseful, because it makes it all that more predictable. It's like, ooh, didn't see that coming for sure. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jamie. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. It was great speaking with you too. Thanks for having me.